Hello everyone. How are you? Hope everyone is doing well. My name is Tushar Patle. I am currently, you know, I have passed my fourth year, so you could say I'm a fifth year. So I'm a fifth year undergrad student of the Department of Mechanical Engineering, enrolled in its dual degree course with specialization in mechanical systems design. And I'm currently doing my internship in HUL. We'll talk about my journey in later, so I'll hand over to Abhirami.
Thank you. We are also joined by Abhirami Srikumar, who is interning at Procter& Gamble, PNG. We request you to introduce yourself, Abhirami.
Okay, so I'm also a fifth year undergraduate student, and my intro is very similar to that of Tushar's. Mechanical engineering department, uh, mechanical systems design specialization. And what else? This is my first corporate internship. So yeah, that's pretty much it about me, unless you want to know about my interests and stuff. Which yeah, okay.
I don't think they'll
Um,
be interested in that.
yeah. Next is Raghav.
Thank you, Abhirami. Next on our panel, we have R. Raghav, who's bagged his internship at ITC. We request you to introduce yourself, Raghav.
Hello everyone, I'm Raghav and I'm currently interning at ITC and I'm in my final fourth year. And my interview process was like based on the CV and typical HR questions, and like I guess we'll talk more about that in later in the session. And currently, I'm actually my network is not good, so I am sorry if anything goes wrong in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Raghav. Thank you all for the introduction. The audience can put up questions in the chat box. We would be happy to take the questions in the end. So, without any further delay, let's unpack the questionnaire.
As we know that the first and the foremost step is to understand and prioritize the companies. So Tushar, could you please give a brief idea on this question?
Personally speaking, I have interned only at HL, and that is my only corporate experience. So, and I enjoyed my stint there. So, if I would be making a list, then that would be my first priority. But for you, I think you should look at three things. First of all, like you should look at uh, the number of interns they have been taking in the past. That is the first thing. The second thing you should look at is the company, goals and objectives of the companies. You can go online, search for the companies, and they look at what they are targeting. For example, HUL is the at the forefront of sustainability. So if you personally feel that you should be working for such a company, then you should target for HUL. And the rest other thing would be that the interview process, about which we'll be telling about our experiences. For example, HUL focuses, in the interviews, HUL focuses on core. So if your core is strong, then you can target HUL. But if your core is not that strong, then you can focus on ITC and PNG. I heard that ITC and PNG did not focus on core that much last year. So yeah, on these three parameters, I think you should prioritize your companies. But overall, you should target like all the three companies, HUL, ITC, and PNG, and if any other that comes for internship, and go with whichever company that gives you the first offer.
Okay. Thank you, Tushar. That was a very detailed answer. So now, Abhirami, would you like to add some points to what Tushar said?
Okay, so when I'm looking for a place to work, my first consideration is the work culture. And the second thing I look at is whether my strengths would be valued in that place. So the reason PNG was a priority for me was because I realized that even during their tests and everything, they were focusing a lot on figuring out whether or not the candidate is a cultural fit. So very early in I think even right after the resume shortlisting, they were pretty convinced that the candidates have sufficient skills. But what they wanted to see is whether or not this candidate would be able to sort of uh, uh, like understand and fit in at PNG, and like understand their culture to become a part of PNG. So for me, I think the first thing I look at, and like mostly the only thing I look at, is whether or not I will like working at this place.
Okay.
I think that should, even if you think that, oh, this is an opportunity, everybody is like, everybody wants to get this opportunity, or there's this software company that everybody loves, there's this other company that everybody loves. You should never, you should not, you should always prioritize your likes and dislikes also, along with the, yeah, I mean, you get my point, right?
Oh, that was great, and especially we noted that point. We should keep those companies at the priority where we would like to work. That was great, Abhirami. Now moving, Raghav, what are your suggestions over this question?
Okay, so frankly speaking,
Uh, Tushar, I guess, sorry, Raghav, I guess you are not audible. Hello, Tushar. Sorry. Hello, Raghav.
yeah,
So
I'm
I guess,
audible.
now you are audible.
Yeah, okay. So, frankly speaking, I'll tell that I didn't have any priority of like nothing of that sort. And the thing was, I sat for all the companies which came, and I was lucky that I got into ITC. But I think at the stage before going, like before this CDC internship, like we literally don't have no any clue about how the work will be. It's just about what people say and what we hear from them, but that doesn't like give a full figure of how the work will be. So according to me, prioritizing is okay, but like after a certain point of time, it doesn't matter. That's what I think.
Okay, that
Um,
was very nice.
if I can
Uh,
add on to that, so when I was talking about prioritizing, I was talking about the priority list that you're going to give out of all the companies that you're sitting for to CDC. You
okay,
have to say that I prefer this company over this company, right? But it's always important to have a backup plan, especially when you are sitting for like um, CDC internships, because there's a lot of luck factor. Okay, it's not like only the skilled candidates get in, or you need a lot of luck. There's like confidence, and a variety of things will like influence the decision made by these employers. So it's important to have backup plans. So even I sat for a lot of companies, software supply chain, yeah, whatever like profile I could fit in.
I agree with you, Avirami. So moving on to the next question.
It is very important to understand the general selection process to crack any interview. I request you all to share your experience. Raghav, would you like to start on this? Hello, Raghav. Uh, we'll get back to Raghav. I think he's lost his connection. Tushar, what were your experiences during the selection procedure?
Okay, so I'll be outlining the process of HUL selection. Abhirami and Raghav could, like vouch for ITC and PNG. So in HUL, like, the first and for like most important thing I feel is the Google form, that Google form, or it's a set of situational questions, behavioral questions that they give. Okay, it's last year it was in the form of Google Forms. So that is very important. I feel that you for that, while filling that form, you should, like try to bring out yourself via those answers. You need to, highlight your experiences and your qualities. So I think first of all, like, you should just sit and introspect that what are actually like my qualities that, differentiate me from the rest. And you should you look for experiences, your past experiences that could highlight those past stories, that could highlight those qualities. And on the basis of that, you should fill out that Google form. and that will like ensure that you are shortlisted for the further rounds. And then after this Google form for HUL, there was a video interview round. So like for video interview round, I think it is essentially a case interview type of round. So in that you should like focus on the overall framework, like using a framework sort of thing, using like, let's say if you are preparing for any case study or something, right? So what do? You basically take the question, think analytically, and you build up an answer, and that answer has a certain framework to it. The logic in that answer has a certain framework to it. It has a structured approach to it. So that will be essential. That will be the key point in cracking that video interview, and that is the major thing that is being looked at. Also your communication skills, how clearly can communication skills does not mean how good your English is. It means how properly or how clearly you are able to project your ideas in that video. So that point. Then the third round will be your interview round. So in that, for me, my interview was majorly focused on my first only on it was focused on two things. First one is CV, like my experiences, especially team card, since I spent majority of my time in KGP in team card. And the next one was core. So in core also, majority of my interview went on with questions based on thermodynamics. So yeah, that was for me. But do not worry like about, we'll talk about that when we talk about how to prepare for interviews. But do not worry about which subjects they'll ask and all these things. You should like focus on what you have learned, and like prepare for that. So yeah, that is for HUL.
Yeah, that was very insightful. Thank you. Abhirami, I request you to share your thoughts on this.
So, frankly, I don't remember much about the process before the interview. What I do remember is that they started off by shortlisting our resumes, and then there was a test which consisted of like hypothetical questions. So, like I said, throughout they're trying to judge whether or not you're a proper cultural fit. In the interviews, though, what they'll mainly want to see um, is like how is whether or not you can take ownership, whether or not you can lead. So all of these things, your qualities as a leader become extremely important. So if you have like projects that you claim to have done, then you need to know about those things. Everything you claim to know, you need to know thoroughly. And say, for example, when I spoke about this project that I had done, so they wanted to understand whether I had come up with new ideas. They wanted to understand if in one of the other projects, whether like there was a point where I had to lead the team and how I managed to do that. So they gave me some in a 1.5 hour to 2 hour interview. They gave me multiple scenarios wherein I was put in like different situations, saying, okay, so there is this senior technician who wants to do something a certain way, and then you as an intern or like as a new employee are faced with this specific challenge. How will you deal with it? So basically, like these are questions that you can never find the right answers to. But what you can do in preparation is to think about possible scenarios, possible questions they can ask. Mainly, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know everything about the kind of work that you say you have done. So if you're putting something in your CV, be sure that you understand it thoroughly. I think these are the steps you can take. Also, when you're making a resume, uh, always follow a 30-second rule. Meaning, if you look at your resume, you should be able to gather everything that is important within the first 30 seconds. So, like people will only give every resume 30 seconds. So, make sure that everything that is important is highlighted. And if they want to read further, they can always find the information there. I think that's all from my side.
That was very informative. Thank you. Raghav, would you like to add on something to this?
Yeah, sure. So ITC's interview process is a bit of simpler than what HUL and PNG's is. So first there's a resume shortlisting, and then there's a GD round. But as it's in online mode, so GD wasn't there. But it was kind of an elocution round. We were given a topic, and we need to speak about it. And once we clear that, then there are two rounds of interviews, and both rounds mainly focus on your CV and the typical HR questions like what are your strengths, weaknesses, long-term goals, and etc. etc. The typical HR questions, you could find them in the internet. uh, Mainly the main thing to be like we should be taken care of is that you should be confident while speaking, like either be it in the GD round or in the interview. And you should be thorough with your CV, and like you should be able to back up each and every point which is written there, and also in a way that the interviewer would understand, and not like in too many technical terms which would give a bad impression. This happens, people actually use very technical terms, and that does not give a good image, because uh, it isn't always that the other person would know what you have worked on. So these are
It's
the
actually
general.
the opposite, right? Because I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you talk in too many, like, if you use too much jargon, then it basically conveys that you can't simplify. You don't understand something enough to simplify it, and secondly, that you can't really work with people, or like you're not exactly
Okay.
collaborative.
I maybe I put it, so I'll try again. So what I meant was like if we use too many technical terms, which like this happened with my friend. He used too many technical terms, and he was not able to simplify it for the interviewer. And he was always going on repeating those terms again and again. So that was what I was saying. So I guess it came out wrong the first time. So yeah, so what Abhirami told was correct.
Thank you. That was a very detailed answer. Now, moving on to the next question.
Our CV creates a first impression on the interviewer. So what are the ways in which we can make it look more effective? Abhirami, we would like to know your thoughts on this.
I like how you're going like very random. So when it comes to CV, like I said, always like think from the perspective of somebody who is kept aside all of their work. And these are consultants you're talking about. So they have like a lot of work. They have like really busy weeks. So they are keeping aside all of their work and they're coming for a hiring process and they have one day to do that. They will not be giving your CV more time than 30 to 40 seconds. So when they look at your CV, all the relevant information should be right there. So if you have some information like general courses that you have done, right? Coursework information. That would probably, like, I would probably bump it down on the like order of things. I would put my internships, my projects on the top, especially for a supply chain like profile. And I'd then like the next focus would be my skill set. And to I would also make sure that I include sufficient, like if I have done um I'm sorry, Raghav, is uh, are you trying to say something or is it just okay? So yeah, so I'd also make sure that I my CV looks what is it called, holistic, in the sense that if I am like involved in extracurriculars, if I have had like held some positions of responsibility, I'd make sure that I'm conveying all of that, because what they look for is a candidate with an 8.5 plus or something CG, a decent enough CG, a good involvement in extracurriculars, in like in other activities, activities outside academics, and yeah, and like leadership skills, confidence is like 50 percentage of it. Like you should be able to, whatever you do, you should be able to project it well. If you can't, like if you can't convey to another person that you have done this much work, then it doesn't make sense.
That
So
was very informative. Okay. So Raghav, could you please share your insights on this?
Sure. What Abhirami told was absolutely correct, and so I'll talk about the during the interview. Be presentable and look fresh. That's the main thing, because what will happen is on the day you will be sitting in front of your computer for like 2, 3, 4 hours, God knows how many, and you will not know when your turn will come. So you would start getting tired, but it is important to look fresh and confident during the interview, because that's one another thing which creates an impression. And also, like, since for ITC the first process itself CV shortlisting, so obviously your CV should stand out in some way among the bunch. And then yeah, that's it, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that was very good input from Raghav. Tushar, what do you think our viewers should do for this?
I think Abhirami and Raghav have already covered all the points that I wanted to say. But if I want to sum it up, a well balanced, like well balanced CV first of all. Second would be add those points which add value to your CV first. That is the same thing. That the 30-second rule that which Abhirami was talking about. The whichever things that differ and like differentiates you should be at the top. Yeah, that's it.
That was a wonderful advice. So now moving to the next question.
Last minute strategies are very crucial for the students, and students feel very anxious during this period. What are your suggestions for last minute preparations to ace through the interview? Raghav, what are some suggestions that you would like to give us?
Yeah, sure. So for ITC, like generally they don't ask questions from the course. So, but you also be preparing for other companies also. So it's important that at least you keep a short note or something, or some revision kind of thing which you could go through, or some topics which you think might come in the interview. Other than that, for you also need to devote some time to prepare your CV. By prepare, I mean if the interviewer asks you to explain a project or something, you should at least have a general skeleton prepared. Not prepare a script. That's okay, but at least prepare a general skeleton, like how will you go about and how will you explain it to the interviewer. And other than that, yeah, that's it. And yeah, don't get anxious, but that's easier said than done, but still.
Yeah, thank you. That was great. Abhirami, could you tell how you handled the situation?
So just like Raghav said, sit with your CV for like a day or two, and when you talk about like preparing these like projects that you say you've done, you need to focus on exactly what you contributed, because that they are going to like they're going to want to understand your contributions in each of these projects that you've done, and because they are constantly judging you on the basis of that. Secondly, you have to believe in yourself, because nobody else will. And like, because in a situation wherein people are asking things like, oh, so you think this is right, you think this is how you should go ahead, so that kind of puts you in a lot of doubt, right? So whatever you're saying, suggest confidently. Okay, it's fine even if it's wrong, because there's nothing that's right or wrong objectively. So especially when it comes to like supply chain. About core, so in
Yeah,
PNG at
Abhirami,
least,
I think
right?
I can cover core part
Yeah, that's what. So in
because
PNG we
HUL
don't.
focuses on core.
Yeah.
So, for core, I think like first of all, whatever core projects you have mentioned, you should be thorough with them. So that comes under your CV preparation. And like the next thing will be your coursework. So they'll ask you questions about your coursework that you have studied. So whichever department you're from, whether it be chemical, industrial, electrical, or mechanical, prepare your core subjects that were taught to you in your first and second years. Like in your second year, if you are like if you have just finished your second year, and your second and third year as well, if you are a dual degree student. And in those subjects also, like you should have one or two subjects that you have prepared very thoroughly, and others, like if you know basic about them, that you studied, if you remember few basic things about the other subjects that you studied like during your semester, so that is good enough. For those 1 or 2 subjects, like you should focus more on like concepts. For example, in thermodynamics, you will focus on, what is, what are the different cycles and underlying, underlying concepts behind those cycles, and not on the formulas and all those things. And yeah, if you are like, if you know basics about all the other subjects, then your core is well prepared.
Yeah, thank you. That was a nice answer. Moving on to the next question.
A number of students have question regarding how many profiles should they prepare for. So what do you suggest on this, Abhirami?
I prepared only one, which I used for software and FMCG. So unless you feel that a significant reordering is required for you to apply for, say, a different profile, I don't think you need to prepare multiple profiles. But it's up to you, really.
Thank you for answering, Abhirami. Tushar, what's your
Yeah.
advice for this?
First of all, I'll require a clarification. By profiles, you mean like different CVs for different profiles, or they are
No, actually,
talking about, multiple profiles like supply
multiple.
chain and software and all?
The second one, that is supply chain
Second one.
software.
Okay. First of all, do not rely on just one profile. That is what Abhirami said, and I'll repeat it once again. That do not rely on one profile. You should at least be focused on 1 or 2 profiles that suits you, and like which you're like, see very seriously preparing for. And other than that, you should have backup profiles for which at least you'll be applying for all the companies that come for those profiles, and give tests and all, and properly. Okay. And the next thing would be, if you're applying for like, for other than FMCG, if you're applying for profiles such as, software and all, for which a lot of companies can come in, then you can, yes, lock in for a particular profile, which gives you a lot of opportunities. But for profiles such as FMCGs, have backups. First backup, second backup. Yeah, do have those.
Thank you for your valuable advice. Now moving to Raghav, what are your insights on this? Hello, Raghav, are you there? I guess he has lost his connection, but he's present. So we will move on to the next question. Okay. Sorry,
Raghav is
Raghav.
on mute.
Hello.
Raghav. So what are
Yeah.
your insights on this question? Okay.
For like CV preparation, I would say I only made one CV because actually, so I would say if you make two, if you focus on core and non-core and FMCGs come in one. But like for my department, there's no core company as such. So ITC is actually my core company for my department. So I only made one CV. And if you want for preparation, I would say don't just fix on one profile, because opportunities are less anyhow. So why filter it? But the thing is, okay, you can't like uh,
Hello, Raghav. Raghav, am I audible to you? Hello, Raghav. So I guess,
audible?
yeah, now you are audible.
Sorry, my net
No,
connection is poor, and actually I'm in the factory of ITC, so that's why the connection is poor.
no problem. You can proceed.
So what? Yeah. So for preparation of profiles, I would say don't limit yourself to only one profile, because opportunities are anyhow less. Most of the companies, so like for FMCG, there are only 3-4 companies, but and for my department, ITC is the only company for FMCG profiles. So you understand, right? There are 15-20 companies coming, and you are only filtering. You already have filtered 17 of them out if you say you are only preparing for FMCG profile. So that's one thing. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you for your assistance, Raghav. Moving to the next question.
Often people are worried about their CG. So, is there any CG criteria for FMCG profile, and how important is the personality of a candidate? Tushar, what are your views on this?
So like CG criteria, yes, there is CG criteria. For HUL it was 8. For PNG and ITC I don't remember. But yeah, there is a CG criteria. But yeah, if you have that minimum CG, then you're good to go. Now coming to how important is the personality of a candidate. Yes, it's very important. It's important to convince them, as Abhinami said, that as I said, that you're a good cultural fit in their organization. That is one thing that in some or the other way every company is going to look for. The extent to which they focus on that would be different. The other thing would be this FMCG profile requires you to communicate with multiple people, multiple stakeholders, and then gather useful information from them. So, if you're not very approachable, if you're not, friendly enough, then like it might create a issue while you are doing your job. The like so that is also important. And yes, like if you talk about like personality, then yes, if you consider communication skill a part of personality, then yes, communication skills are very important. You should be able to convey your ideas, and like especially to senior management and senior stakeholders very crisply and clearly and in short amount of time. So yes, these are the things they'll look for.
Yeah, it is indeed important to be able to communicate properly. Thank you. Raghav, what would you suggest on this? I think Raghav is not able to speak. Abhirami, would you like to add some points to this?
Yeah, so CG criterion, I do not remember, I'm sorry, but about personality. So whenever an FMCG company comes to hire somebody, they're always like, once you finish your internship, if you get an offer, they'll be taking you in on a managerial position. So uh, there you'd be expected to exhibit some leadership skills. You'd be expected to communicate with people. I mean, I have spoken to people in at least like 3 languages now. So at the end of the day, it's like whatever small or big skills you've developed over the course of time, you have to be able to like use it when when there's a need. So basically, like I don't know how to put this. So like Tushar said, you need to be able to communicate properly. You need to. It's not like this one thing that you need to excel at and you'd be good. You basically need to, like, it'll be very dynamic. The kind of projects you'll receive also, you'll have to take complete ownership end to end. You'll be like, oh, so I have to contact this random vendor in this random place, or I have to get this whole thing done, and nobody tells you how, right? So the all the how is completely decided by you. So the skill sets required there, like, it's frankly very hard to define, which is why you use a vague term like personality or like, I don't know, leadership skills. But yeah, essentially, just um, just believe in yourself. Just be confident, because if you are confident, no matter what your like basic nature is, you'll survive.
That was very insightful. Raghav, could you add some points to this? I hope I'm audible to you, Raghav.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah, so we are talking about CG pattern, right?
Hmm. CG
Yeah,
criteria and the
so
importance of personality.
yeah, sure. So I don't like ITC doesn't explicitly mention CG criteria, I guess. If at all there is, it should be like around 8 or 8.5. I'm not sure. You would get it in your ERP, and but having a higher CG, I think, makes a impact on your selection. I guess that's what. Yeah, that.
Yeah. Thank you. Moving on to the next question.
interviews are extremely essential for grabbing an internship. What tips would you like to give to our audience? Raghav, would you like to begin with this?
Yeah, so as I already told, look fresh and be confident and like be presentable first of all, and always like be polite and always at the end of any questions ask for suggestions or feedback from the interviewers. I think that would help. Like that also creates an impact that you are interested and all. And other than that, yeah, that's it. The preparation is already talked about, and you should be able to do well in your interviews.
Okay, that's true. I appreciate your answer. Now, Abhirami, what are your suggestions over this?
So in an interview, you basically need to, I'm sorry, I forgot. Yeah. Um, so you need to talk for like 1 or 2 hours. So like Raghav said, you need to be presentable, you need to be pleasant. And on top of that, I think the most important thing is that uh, you need to listen. So if somebody is asking you something, and most of the times will be questions that you don't expect. Okay, so when somebody is asking you something, take 2 minutes, listen to what they are saying, and like do a little bit of brainstorming. Say if it's some like say a small scale case study or something, they'll give you a question. So like think a little bit, come up with some like preliminary questions, like things that you need to know in order to answer that question correctly. Because it's always better to ask a bunch of questions, like 2 3 questions in the beginning, to understand their like understand what they're asking better, as always listen properly. And yeah, I think that's it from my side.
That was awesome. Now, Tushar, what are your suggestions over this?
I think they covered like most of the things. So, few suggestions from my side would be that I personally do this. So you should prepare like well thought of introduction that gives a gist of your journey, so that you come up, yeah, as you your first impression is very good. You come up as a confident and person that knows what he is doing in the interview and why he is present there. So a journey that, like, my personal answer is that I start with how, like, after entering into KGP, and I end with how I landed in that position in that interview seat. So that is my answer to that introduction question. That tells them a lot about me, and I usually speak for 1 or 2, like, I'll prefer to speak up for up to like 1 or 2 minutes at least, so that I, like, I come up, I come as a confident and a confident person who is able to tell them about myself, that thing. Then, like, in like rest of the questions, and as Abhirami said, take your time when required. Keep your answers structured, crisp, and if you don't know something, tell them yet that you don't know something, or you haven't studied about it. You can't expect that you can answer every question, so keep that in mind. Yeah, do some preparation for HR questions and behavioral questions. Like for PNG, it is a majority of chunk. For HL, there will be one or two at max in the end. In my interview, there were none. You can also, and yeah, in the end, you should be like thoroughly prepared with your CV, so that you are able to speak about what you have done and what you claim to have done. Yeah, that's it.
That was nice. I appreciate your answer. Now we move on to the next part of our discussion. We have collected some questions from our student community, which we found to be relevant to be added to this discussion. Let's get to these questions.
What specific skills are looked for in FMCG companies? Any of the panelists who would like to start on this with this question?
If I Can I take this question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
go
if
ahead.
I start, then like, good personality, you should be approachable. Then decent communication skills, then you should be good. You should have good analytical skills, so that for companies like especially in HUL, it's a very data driven company. So yeah, if you are able to work with that data, and not data analytics but analyzing things and driving useful insights out of that, so that is a good skill to have. Then you should be a quick learner. They don't expect you to know anything, or have any prior knowledge about supply chain or anything. What they expect you to do is, learn about something, grasp that concept as quickly as possible, then work on it and deliver it. So if you are able to do these things, then you're good. You're a good enough fit for them.
That was a very detailed answer. Abhirami, would you like to add something to this?
So at P&J, what I've noticed is that, like I said, leadership skills are very important, because at the end of the day, it's a baseline expectation that you will be able to analyze stuff, that you will be able to collect input, like the relevant information and everything. What they're looking for is that after all of this, you can get useful insights and make recommendations. So what they're looking for is not somebody that can tell them this and this and this is what is happening on your site, but you should be able to look at everything that is happening. You should be able to make decisions and drive those decisions, drive projects. So those are the skills that people will value. So we, even without people around you, even without somebody continuously instructing you, you should be able to you should be self-sufficient in a sense. I mean, of course, data and everything will come from resources in the company, but um, you should be I don't know, like an independent consultant for the company, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So leadership skills.
Yeah, that was nice. Thank you. Raghav, would you like to add something to it?
I guess it has been pretty much covered up. Whatever, no special skills are required as such. Like, they don't look into any specific skills, but yeah, obviously you need some leadership skills and that take charge attitude, if you would say. And being confident and presentable is one another thing which I'm saying it again and again, but yeah, that's an important point too. Yeah, that's it.
That was nice. Thank you. Moving on to the next question now.
Are there any companies that require in-depth knowledge in the core supply chain concepts? Any of the panelists would like to start on this question?
I would like to start on this. So I think till my interview, nothing from the core was asked, but I had mentioned supply chain in my CV because I have studied that subject. So then they asked, they put up kind of a case study and then asked me questions about it. But at the end, it was very logical, and you didn't need to do any in-depth knowledge. That's what I would say. So the case study was about, they have some factories, some warehouses, and some retail shops. And at every stage, you needed to analyze things as what all parameters should be taken care of, what all can happen at every stage, and all. And this is very logical, and also the interview will guide you. So I would say for ITC, you won't require that much of in-depth core knowledge. But yeah, for HUL, I think you need, and for PNG, I don't know.
Uh, uh, so yeah, I'll clarify Raghav's point. So for HL, they'll ask you about your core, like whatever it may be. It can be mechanical, it can be chemical, but they don't expect you to know anything about supply chain. I think this is more or less true for all the FMCG companies that come. They expect you to know. They want to judge you in through via that interview. So they'll ask you questions about what you have done. If you have studied, focused on academics, and if you have studied that, if you have different experiences, if you have a certain internship, if you have a certain project in certain domain, then they'll ask about those things, if they also know about those things. But if you want to talk about core supply chain knowledge, then I don't think it is required.
That was very good input. Abhirami, would you like to add anything?
Like Tushar said, in my CV, I had mentioned this project on in the field of kinematics of machines. There was another like some courses I had done. There's Codes. So in each of those areas, I got a lot of questions. I got they wanted to know everything in detail, but there was no point wherein they expected me to have any prior knowledge about the kind of work I was going to do. So all of this you can learn once you get into the company for most companies. Some basic things they might expect here and there. Say like during COVID times, our interviews were conducted then. So they were like in one of the interviews, I think it was for the HUL test, Tushar. Do you remember this case study thing
Yeah, it
wherein,
was.
so there's some like supply chain questions were there, wherein they went, I frankly don't remember much, but like basic stuff, not
Yeah.
like too much.
So if I clarify on that, then it was a question like, it was basically testing your business acumen. So if you had a little bit of business acumen, terms like, what is a third party logistics and what are these things, then like you are good to go, not specifically regarding supply chain. Yeah.
That was a nice one. Now we will move on to the next question.
A lot of us are taking up online courses to add on to our knowledge. Is it worth writing these courses in the resume? Any of the panelists who would like to start on with this?
The question is whether you're writing these courses because they actually add some value to your profile, or if you're writing them just to fill the white space. So, in my second year, I had done some courses on Udemy, on Python, um, in machine learning, C++, some advanced C++ course and everything. But those did not really add in any way to the kind of like profiles I was, because C++ skills I had either way. So that was something I just did as a part of like hunting for internships or hunting for like, or just like generally building my skills. Whereas there was this other, like, there were some other courses that I had done that I felt was like important, that like if somebody asked me questions on, I'd be able to answer. Or if you said that, okay, so you've done this course, will you be okay working in this area? Sure. So courses like that, go ahead, highlight them. But otherwise, if you like, if there are like just like some random courses that you have done that you think the interviewer should know, just put them in the coursework information section or something, I guess. I think
Yeah.
that's it from my
Thank
side.
you.
If I want to add something to this, then like my personal opinion is that mention it in your coursework, and be prepared. Like Abhirami said, that if they ask any questions about that, then yes, you should be able to answer those. But like if you are like specifically mentioning as a full section that my intercourse works, and then you're like explaining what you have specifically learned on those things. And so if I compare this with another with some project that I have done in core or any other field, I would rather choose that project to fill my CV than this coursework, because like that that there is a differentiating point in that project, and they like it adds more value to my CV. This is what I personally feel.
Thank you. That was very insightful. Raghav, would you like to add something to it?
Yeah, sure. So previously we said there's like no core knowledge involved or something. So obviously, like they don't expect to, yeah, like you do any courses and all. But yeah, if you have done online courses, then okay, you can mention them. But yeah, just don't put 20 courses, online courses. That won't work. Because they also know we are from home, and online courses is just a cakewalk. If you, with all the answers are available, you can complete it. That's not a problem. So yeah, that's from my side.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a nice
sorry,
answer.
Trisha
Thank
and
you.
Saras, I'll have to take a leave. I have a meeting. So yeah, bye bye.
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you for joining us. It was a great time having you here. So now we'll be taking up the questions from the audience. We encourage you all to put up your questions in the chat box.
So taking the questions from the chat box, the first question is is that in FMCG companies, are there any branch specific questions? Is it thoroughly based on your CV through which they judge your personality, or do they expect us to have some knowledge of supply chain, etc.? Any of the panelists who would like to take this question?
Yeah. So I don't say so. Except HUL, I don't think for PNG and ITC you would need any knowledge of that sort. For HUL also, you won't need supply chain, as Tushar was mentioning. You would obviously be thorough about your own coursework rather than supply chain and everything. So yeah, I guess this is kind of covered during our talk.
Okay, that would be very helpful. Moving to the next question.
How many people were taken in by ITC, HUL, and PNG for internships?
So at PNG, yeah, go ahead, Raghav.
Yes, sorry to cut you in. So yeah, so ITC took in 7 people, and I don't know about the rest.
Are you asking from KGP or like on the whole?
From KGP.
I think it should be from KGP.
Okay, so PNG took 2 people. I was in the supply chain profile, and there's this other girl called Anita who got in the IT profile. So the total number of interns at PNG this year, engineering interns, are 19, out of which 3 are IT interns and the other 16 are supply interns. And there's also another batch called MBA interns. So those are the only 2 types of like internships at PNG, if that information helps.
Okay, that was a nice answer. Moving on to the next question.
So can you suggest few tips for panic times in the interview? We don't know if we don't know the answer to the question.
Just be honest,
it's
all right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Be honest and like, yeah, if you want, you can try in, but that could go very bad. So like you can say you don't know or you only know very little or something like that. Just don't lie, because if you get caught, then that's very bad.
Because most of these interviewers, they'll be looking to have like some conversation with you. So they'll be like, oh, so you worked on this project. I also worked on this specific thing when I was at this plant. And then they'll try to have like, so they'll assume that you have some certain level of knowledge. It's okay even if you don't know as much because you're still just a student, right? But if you pretend to know something just to keep the conversation up, then that'll just, I mean, even in a normal conversation outside an interview, that's just a big like turn off, right? So I guess just be honest. If you don't know something, it's fine. Just tell them that I don't know much about this. My scope was only this much.
That's true. I agree with your points. So now the next question.
If someone has no POR in his CV but has a confident personality and can convince people with his CG 8.5 plus, will that candidate be fit for FMCG?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Because
yeah, obviously.
Because at the end of the day, it's like I didn't gain. I can't like quantify how much I gained by putting a POR on my CV. As long as whatever you've put on your CV is enough to give you confidence, you should be fine. So even if you don't have a POR, that doesn't mean that you don't have leadership skills or that you won't like qualify. Frankly, nobody will be able to tell you also what the metrics are that people will judge you on, right? So
yeah, that was a nice answer. Moving on to the next question.
So the final question is that for a person from manufacturing, is knowing thermofluid science enough for the interviews? And along with this, they are also asking for how many FMCG companies come for recruitment.
where is Tushar? Thermofluid science. Okay, see, frankly, my thermodynamics is weak, okay? So I did revise my core concepts in the 2 days before the interviews, but not to the like extent that, it wasn't like preparing for an exam or something. So I didn't touch my core like that much. Thermofluid science, it could be, like I said, anything you know is a benefit. So if you know thermofluid science well enough to be able to talk about it with somebody who's experienced, then it's definitely a plus. I don't see why not. But if you do not also, it's okay.
Okay, that was a nice answer. So, Raghav, do you have any suggestions for this?
Yeah, so ITC doesn't ask at all. So, like, if you're only concerned for ITC, then I think you won't require much. But obviously, as Abhirami said, if you know, then that's always a benefit.
Okay, that was a wonderful advice. So, moving to the next question.
It's been asked if you'll be given a case study and what are the types of case study questions and the depth of exploration of the given cases.
Case studies are usually asked case studies are like case interviews, right? So those usually come in consulting interviews. You can refer to some, there's a book by Victor Cheng on consulting basics and stuff. So you can refer to those textbooks to understand exactly how case interviews work. But it's some version of that, because like FMCG is also consulting at the end of the day. So you'll be judged on the basis of linear thinking abilities, analytics, how you look at a problem, if you are systematic in your approach, all of that. But it's not case study or case interview per se. At PNG, you do not have we didn't have a GD or anything in the process. It was just like one-on-one.
Okay. Moving on to the next question.
So, one of our friend is asking how much luck plays a part in getting internship in general and in FMCG profile.
Almost 90%.
Okay.
Just kidding. So yeah, luck will play an important role, but this happens after you are like kind of selected for the interviews, or like even then, like you will do the best from your side, but there will always be a luck. So not 90% obviously, but 5-10% or maybe even 20% luck, you could say, because in the end they have about, even if they have 100 people and they have to choose only 700, is, I'm just assuming, it's very small. So even if from 100 you choose 7, you can see the ratio is very skewed. So that's why.
True.
Okay, thank you. So, moving to the next question.
If they ask us to talk about a specific project, what all points should we ideally cover in it? We don't want to make it a monologue, so we don't want to talk for a long time.
Okay. So like I said, make sure that you highlight your collaboration. So suppose if I am to talk, I am talking about a project from the start to the end, then I will cover the whole project in a way that, like if I like preparing a flow chart with my contributions. So it's like, oh, when at the start of the project, I did this and this and this, after which in this stage, I did this and this and this. And like that, I'd cover the whole thing. And if they have any specific questions regarding exactly what I did, or like some other aspects of the project, then they would like ask, right? So by default, I think make sure that you keep your contributions in there. If you want an example, I can like give you a verbal one, but I think it's pretty clear. Yeah.
Now that we have answered most of the questions from the audience, we request to the panelists to give some funda for the CDC Janata. So, Abhirami, would you like to give a start?
Yes, so what I'm good at, Pandebazi. Frankly, I don't. No, really. I don't have any big funda or anything. I was really scared on the first day of my internship and all. So at this point, I think people are getting inputs from multiple people. Like, so I don't think that helps a lot. Definitely get your CV reviewed by multiple people, but don't go into an interview with prior prejudices. Don't be like, oh, this is what is going to happen, or because it'll be 100% different from what you expect. And what else? Yeah, so the best way to not freak out is to not do too much last minute prep, right? I mean, like, I know we talked about last minute prep, and 1 or 2 days before the interviews, or like even one day before the interview, you can like look at the important stuff. Like, I did some research on P&G and like the other interviews I was sitting for, the other companies also, a little bit, what their goals are, what they do. It's about you're applying for an investment banking company, but you don't know what they do or what kind of clients they serve. That's doesn't give a good impression. So just, I mean, like, look up different companies, find out what their goals are, what their culture is, and all of that. But don't like feed your brain too much information right before the interview. That won't help anyway.
Okay. Your suggestions will be very helpful for the students. So, Raghav, any concluding statements from your side?
Yeah, I would like to add on some more suggestions. So, first of all, make good friends who would remind you of each and every deadline, each and every test, and each and every forms which you need to fill, because you would be having a lot of deadlines and you would miss. So at least set up some friends, make a Google sheet or something where you chronologically put up all the deadlines, all the test dates, and all. And like, we used to have tests as early as 5:30 in the morning, so you need someone to at least call you and say, hey, wake up, have you woken up, to check on you. So that's very important. And once the interview starts, like the day one will start, from that point I would say you should be strong, because you would be seeing some unfair decisions. You would think that's unfair, like you didn't get selected or something like that, but you should be strong to face it. And yeah, that these are some points which I would like to add. Yeah.
Yeah, Raghav, I agree with you. That was correct. Now, we thank all the panelists for sharing your insightful thoughts and experiences, and we are extremely grateful to you for giving us your time. It will be definitely be helpful for the students preparing for the CDC and to all the juniors. We also thank our wonderful audience for being with us today and making this event successful. We request you to fill the feedback form which is there in the chat box. It won't take more than 2 minutes. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.